Well, hello. This is Tom and Heather from Shadowfields, and this is Monday in the studio.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Where's the theme song?
Monday in the studio. Please like, share, subscribe to our channel, and click on that notification bell to stay connected to us whenever we go live. So, tell us all what you're drinking this evening. And of course, this is my second Arnold Palmer of today. I had my first because I was celebrating my youngest son's 23rd birthday. So, Aiden turned 23.
23.
Yeah.
How old were you when
something.
you got married?
18. No, 24, I think.
At least you
Yeah.
didn't say
Yeah.
14.
No,
Married
I
my
always
cousin at
made
14.
yeah, that's so bad of you to talk like that.
I know it is terrible,
Have you
but
been drinking already tonight?
yeah.
Answer is yes. So yeah, let us know what you're drinking. But today's
Hi, Kim. Hi, Dave. Hi,
hi.
Shirley.
Hi, you guys. Raspberry tea. I'm with you, Kimmy. Kimmy, I did contact that. One moment. I'm going to digress. Kim, I did contact that place that you wanted us to contact, and they said that they're all full throughout June. So you and we got to have a conversation. We got to make some movements, if you know what I'm talking about, with this place. So Kim's got the
Okay.
inroads. And if
Okay.
anyone else has got inroads into venues, talk to me. We'll talk. So we're going to have tonight's session in kind of three parts. The first is to talk to you about what's going on in the studio, because we've been having some fun stuff going on with there. Number two, we're going to go do a little bit ABCs today. ABCs of recording. And I'll talk to you about what the letter A stands for and what the letter B stands for. You don't even know this. And then three, we want to talk about what's happening as far as the gigs coming up and where we'll be live. And we would love to have all of you with us when we go live. So follow us, join in the caravan, so to speak. So the first thing is, let's talk about what have we been doing in the studio this week? We had someone in.
It's been very busy. Last week we wrote a song.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. So we always talk about, where do songs come from? How do you write songs? And what's the start of them? So I was driving home like on Monday last week, a week ago, and this thing just popped into my head.
A melody?
You wonder what things are like. And this is it. And you'll laugh. But here we go.
How do you know to laugh?
Words. And
that's not you.
Do do do. 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 Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do do. Doom doom doom. Do do do. Do do do.
There you go.
Nice.
That was the origination of the thing. I just left work, and all of a sudden I was driving down the road. And I go, I got an idea. Just while I'm driving, just poke on the recorder, and the first part of the talking was the radio still on. Turned off the radio, and I just start recording it. And that song is actually nearly done. Like it wrote itself. It was such a fast thing.
Yeah, and you did the drums on it yesterday, so it was like a week, of
within a week
concept to
I finished all the lyrics.
Yeah.
You last Monday night you wrote a bridge, and we stuck it all together, and now it just needs the guys. And it's pretty cool, kind of bluesy jazz thing.
It is fun. I think a lot of times it is fun just to kind of, you're in the car and you're not around family, friends, dogs. You're not around things that are holding you captive, so you can kind of freeform a little bit
Yeah.
more. So I agree that kind of being in the car is kind of this really cool place to create.
Yeah, it's interesting because it happened. Some songs we labor over forever, which we have some in the in our
pot,
pot
yes,
that we've been working on for 6 months and they still haven't come together,
right,
and some less than a week, and
right.
it's basically done, and with even some final parts on it already.
Yep.
So it's pretty incredible. But
So
we
took
worked on that.
Yep.
Hi Pat. Hey Tony. We also had Larry in,
Yes,
Larry
we did.
Etchins, and he came in and finished his final vocal
That's
on his song.
Yep.
And I began the final mix down of it. It's not finished yet, but the static mix is complete and it sounds great.
That's awesome.
It's a very pretty song. And what else did we do?
Some backup vocals.
Oh, Saturday morning, you did backgrounds vocals, and we even did some together for Sammy B. Sammy B's got this kind of like Rolling Stones kind of song, and
you put 2 mics up, and
2 mics, and we just came up with ideas. Go, I'm gonna go like this, and you go like this, and so we were background singers for it, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
that's kind of cool.
We worked really fast, and then you did background vocals for Larry's song, all these beautiful oohs and ahs and things like that. And so it was kind of like being a session musician for a while.
Yeah, again, it was a lot of fun. And then tonight we're going to just do a little bit on a song that is going to be coming out on March 11th. And that's called On a Dime.
Yeah.
And Shirley, you wanted to know what the song title is for the one that we just did, which is called What Will Be. That's the name of the new song.
What Will Be.
What Will Be.
And I wrote it. So you think it's a happy or a sad song? What do you think? You decide.
But you know what? We're always writing lyrics too. So there's just, we'd love to put out an album in the new year. But until that time, the next year, 2025. So I think we're going to be building up to that throughout this year and early next year. So there'll be a lot of other songs that we'll be coming out with.
Kind of like we did on the last album. We started writing in 2020.
Yep.
But
throughout the whole pandemic.
The whole pandemic, and it did not come out until actually 2021 is when we started working on it.
Yeah.
And it came out in 2022,
yes,
I think.
It did.
Late 2022.
Yeah.
So we set a song a month with a video, which, we better come up with some good video ideas, because now we're starting to stack up the songs, and we're going to have to do some videos soon.
But we know a great production company, Green People Productions, that we're going to be working with on the videos. So it should be fun. Yeah.
I've taken out a second mortgage and I can pay for those guys.
Oh gosh, they're not that expensive and they're so good. Okay, so we talked about what's going on in the studio, and so we're left with the ABCs, and then also talking through what kind of concerts we've got coming up. Okay, so there's a lot of technical stuff in the studio. What we wanted to do is to kind of start at there's the song. We just start with the song, but then how do you record it? So we're going to go into a little bit of gear talk today. And so
are we talking about microphones?
Mr. Rogers. No, what we're going to call you? Mr. Roberts. His middle name is Robert. So A is for amp and B is for basics. So we're going to do amp basics tonight. So if you would bring us into your world of amps, and I'm thinking at this point, let's start with preamp. And you'll have to define what a pre is and what an amp is. And I know you're all are like waiting.
I know you guys are going, oh boy, what's this going to be?
But that's kind of what goes on in the studio, is that you need to be familiar with the gear. So
the gear is extremely important.
Yes.
It's extremely important. Otherwise things don't happen.
Right.
And the better the gear, the better your end results are going to be. So I'm going to move the camera so you can see a little bit, because over to the side here is the main rack full of stuff, and you can only see a bit of it, but hang on, here we go.
It's all the bells and whistles.
All right,
if it gets too technical, just raise your hand.
Yeah, if
And well, you know,
you have to come over.
Mr. Roberts
Yeah, if it
is like
gets
Mr. Rogers, so he's going to explain things to us. Take us to the land of make believe, Mr. Roberts.
Can you say preamp?
Preamp.
Sure, I knew you could. Welcome to my neighborhood.
Oh dear Lord!
All right, and so we have this gigantic, I don't know, 5-foot rack full of stuff, and we have compressors, EQs, lots of preamps. We have preamps going all the way down to here, more compressors going down further, and then interfaces and stuff like that. So basically, when we're talking about preamps, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there's a 7th in a closet because I don't have any space for it.
Okay, those all look really super scary. So what's the concept?
They're all very different.
What does the pre mean in a preamp?
You need a microphone has very, very tiny output.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the waveform is super tiny. You couldn't hear it. You couldn't plug a microphone into a speaker and hear it.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't work. So you need to get it up loud enough so you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So a preamp is going to take that microphone and it's going to amplify it.
Got it. So it's like a booster.
Yes,
it's like a booster shot for a waveform.
Well, I don't know about a booster shot, but it's going to make it bigger so that it's loud enough that it can be recorded.
Got it.
Because a microphone is not loud enough to even be recorded.
Got it.
So
you take the microphone.
It goes from the microphone, goes to the cable, goes in, like, say, our vocal.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going to sing tonight, which right back here is a vocal microphone setup that Heather's going to sing in tonight, and she's going to sing. It's going to come in to right here into
Mm-hmm.
channel 1, and then from there it's going to go all the way down here, which you can't see, but it's basically the same as this,
mm-hmm.
which is a compressor. A compressor is going to reduce the dynamics. So if you talk really soft and you talk really loud,
mm-hmm.
when you have a recording, you don't want to hear super soft and super loud. You want to have it more even.
Mm-hmm.
And so what a compressor does, it's going to squash. It's basically, it turns down all the really loud stuff, and then you bring up the overall volume. So that brings up everything,
mm-hmm.
including all the low stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes the recording more even.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. So can we go back to the amp stuff?
Okay.
What does the letters AMP mean? Is it a
amplifier?
Oh, it's an amp. Okay, so it's not like AMP stands for something.
No.
It's just amplifier.
Amplifier. So
okay.
A preamp, it's a amplifier that comes before any other amplification.
Okay.
So it's
got it. It's
the
the first
thing. Yes, it's to get the microphone level up to a line level.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's trying to do.
So there's so many little knobs and stuff over there on the preamp. What are all those? I mean, it looks like Christmas. Looks like something that you turn on at Christmas time there.
At the simplest.
Yes.
Say this one. At the simplest, it has a volume control.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has something called phantom power,
mm-hmm. which
is 48 volts. When you turn that on, it sends 48 volts out to the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Many microphones require phantom power.
Mm-hmm.
Basically a FET powered condenser microphone. It needs that phantom power in order to make it sound,
mm-hmm.
because it doesn't have. If you have just a standard old microphone, it is going to be a moving coil,
mm-hmm.
kind of like a speaker that you're talking into, and moving that changes the current through the windings, which then you can amplify. A condenser microphone is based on changing capacitance, but it has no magnets. The only way that can create these voltages and these current changes is by polarizing the capsule. We're getting really geeky. And you need to have the 48 volts that goes into it,
yes.
which then it has a doubler on it, which then gets it up to about 60 volts on the front and 120 volts on the back side.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's just more power to the
It's
to the
like
signal kind of, or to the waveform.
if you have a light bulb, you had to plug it into the
Yes.
power. That's the power to
Got
get the
it.
light bulb to turn on.
And not all microphones need that.
Not all microphones.
Only those that require it.
Right.
Cool.
Condenser microphones need
Okay.
phantom power.
Okay.
So you have phantom power, then you have a polarity switch, which is going to reverse the polarity. So if your speaker's going out when you want it to go in, you switch the polarity, and then it changes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the basic thing about it.
So did you always know how to work all of this, or was this something that someone taught you? Like, were you an apprentice to a preamp savant?
No, I think, early on in my career when I was in high school and stuff like that, I started learning what the pieces are and what they do and why they do it. And obviously you get better.
Mm-hmm.
When I started, I wasn't very good. And I still listen back to some recordings. I'm like, that compressor was set completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can tell now listening to.
Oh yeah, I
can.
Well, because that's the thing when you listen to somebody's first recordings, and you go, it all sounds really boring and flatlined.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically because they don't know how to use a compressor yet,
Mm-hmm.
because they just want to squash the signal.
Right.
But there's different ways to squash the signal because a compressor has lots of different controls.
I just want to stop just for a second. Any of you who are online that are listening here,
it's time to wake up.
If you have a question for Tom related to preamps, because I think that's really what we're going to focus on today, just let me know, and we'll make sure that question gets asked. Also, for those of you who haven't told us already, what are you drinking this evening? Please do tell us. We're always very interested. And if you're having a pizza, I'm really hungry for pizza, so don't let me know that.
Are you going to have pizza with Aiden tonight?
No,
Mm-hmm.
we had chicken parmesan this evening with some pasta. We go to Franco's.
Okay.
Franco's, it's like a deli over off of Barrington Road. It's very, very yummy. And we had a Portillo's chocolate cake.
Wow.
Yeah. I had very few. I was told not to eat too much because they were worried I was going to crash over here. In fact,
probably.
That actually came up.
Yeah, I would, no doubt.
All right, so
back to preamps.
Back to preamps.
Okay, now that's the basic controls of the preamp. That's just the basic.
Can I just go? Can I just repeat though? Okay, so we're singing. I'm singing in this microphone.
Mm-hmm.
You have it connected to this preamp, so it can basically boost up that recording. So when it goes into here,
goes into the computer.
There's something that you can play with there, unless a signal by itself would not show itself.
Mic level is way down here.
Yes.
Line level is here.
Right, and you have to get it up there.
I need to get it to line level in order for it to be recorded in the computer.
Awesome. Okay.
And preamps come in various sizes and quality ranges. Everything that's in here is really expensive and really good.
Yeah.
But they all do something different. That's why they aren't all the same.
Mm-hmm. So do you use different preamps for different instruments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Some are really great for, like, if we take a look at, some are great for drums.
Mm-hmm.
Some are great for vocals.
Yes.
There's slight differences. When you think about the importance of all the gear and everything, the whole signal chain, the closer you are to the musician, the more important it is.
I see.
So for you, the most important thing by far about how good this recording is going to be is you.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two is the microphone that you're using.
Yeah.
That's second off. Number three is going to be that preamp.
Right.
4, any kind of compression or signal processing. 5, the converters.
Okay.
And it goes in that order of importance.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to learn about those other things later. Not tonight, just another day. Okay, so Pat is having a blend of Merlot, Cabernet, and what's a franc? What's a franc?
I don't know.
Yes,
I had a couple painkillers. Anybody ever have a drink called a painkiller?
Is that a blue drink?
No.
Oh, I know what that blue drink is.
It's rum and.
Did you go to Bahama Breeze?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Couple painkillers.
It's a lot of sugar. That's like.
Oh yeah.
I'll take just 5 pounds of sugar.
I'm ready to crash.
All right. Well, hopefully your preamps do not crash.
Right.
All right. So we've got me, the microphone, and then the preamp.
Yes.
at this point. Okay.
As
So
far as like
various,
importance goes.
and we use something called the daking on vocals, right?
No, we
What do
actually
we
use
use?
one by we have used the daking on a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Generally we use the Hardy M1. John
Okay.
Hardy is an engineer who lives in Chicago, and he's made preamps that were based on Dean Jensen's original twin servo design. And but
Who's Dean Jensen?
Jensen Transformers.
Okay.
Dean is no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
Dean was a genius.
Okay.
Many people thinks that one of the finest preamps ever made was the twin servo preamp that he designed.
Mm-hmm.
John Hardy took over the building of the twin servos and then changed it and modified it a little bit, and then came out with the M1.
Nice.
And so we're using 4 channels of M1, and we typically use the M1 for vocals when it's not a very colored preamp. It's not going to be really heavy on the low end. It's not going to be too bright and sizzly. But it's got transformers. Inside of preamps, they can have transformers on the inputs and the outputs, or they could not have any transformers.
Right.
When they have transformers can saturate a little bit. That smooths out the signal just a little bit.
Yeah.
It imparts a nicer character to it by adding some harmonics that don't naturally exist in that source.
So when that signal goes into, or that waveform goes in there, it's actually, there's some magic in the type of preamp.
It's
that
all
it
magic.
is. No, but it's either, but the preamp is applying different things relative to which preamp it would be.
Right.
You're saying that this one doesn't sizzle at this level, and this one doesn't. So it's actually doing something to it before it, not just loud and soft. It's actually doing something to it before it's going into the computer.
Right. Those things that the differences between them, to the average person just listening to them, they all sound the same to me.
Right.
Because the most important thing was the voice and the microphone.
Yeah.
By far, those are the two most important things. And so the changes in preamps might account for maybe 5 to 10% of the overall sound at the very most.
Yeah.
When you're at a certain level, like the difference between a cheap preamp and an expensive preamp is astronomical. Because you could buy a preamps for a microphone for about $50, or you could buy ones that each channel is $1,000.
Right.
So
do you have a favorite? I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you have a favorite amplifier?
I would still say that the Hardy is probably my favorite. Yeah. It was my first really expensive one that I bought.
So how old is that?
Oh, I probably bought it 20 years ago, I suppose.
Okay, awesome.
They're hard to get now because John Hardy is kind of not semi-retired, but he's slowing down a lot, and so he's not building hardly any. It's clean and open sounding, but not sounding sterile.
Yeah.
And that's, unless you work with this stuff, you'd say that doesn't tell me anything. But it's not boring sounding, but it also isn't hyped. Things like this Stam 1073, it's based on a Neve 1073 preamp. Neve preamps have a big boost in the low mids. So on people who sound very thin, I would put that Stam. It kind of makes a smiley face out of the EQ a little bit, a little more sizzle on top, more like air on top, because it's saturated, and the low end has got some more beef to it.
So we're almost out of time.
Okay.
But I do want to ask you, because you're talking a lot about this is sound. It's how sound comes into some place where it can be manipulated. And the readiness for the sound to be manipulated.
Yeah.
Do you like this part of your work in the studio more than you do another part? Do you find that's more fun to know about and do things with versus the engineering and the mixing, or because you have a lot of roles?
The better it goes in,
the
easier it is to make it sound good in the end.
That's awesome.
You could take a garbage microphone with even a poor singer, and you could sit in the computer and manipulate that and to make somebody sound okay.
Yeah.
Which I've done long ago.
Sure. Yeah.
But I've had to do that kind of things where somebody was not even close to being ready to record.
Yeah.
But you can manipulate them.
Yeah.
That's tedium, and it takes a long time.
It's a lot of cleanup.
It's a total amount of cleanup. But when you have a good signal getting into the computer, you're halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
I did these drums on Sunday, and I had some new microphones, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and a new setup. I think it was 16 or 17 microphones on the drums.
Mm-hmm.
I turned on 4 microphones that I never used before.
Mm-hmm.
I turned just those on. It was like, that is the best drum sound I've ever gotten, ever.
That's awesome.
And those were auxiliary microphones. They weren't even the main microphones.
Mm-hmm.
But because the signal path and the microphone chosen, the placement of the microphone, all were perfect. It took nothing to make it sound phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
So there you go.
All right. So thank you. That's the beginning. Okay. So join us next time where we go to not just the A and the B, but the C for the compressor. So we're going to learn a little bit more about that.
Can you say compressor?
I say
Sure.
compressor.
Sure, I knew you could.
In Mr. Roberts' playground, I guess. Anyway, let us know if you liked hearing about that and if you had any questions or you didn't understand any of it. We'd like to know that too.
Rattle off some shows.
We've got some shows coming up.
Some shows.
That's awesome. Yeah. So the big one here is on April 11th at the Bunker Live in St. Charles. We have.
Is that our first show right now?
Well, no, we've got a couple days in Grand Rapids on April 6th.
Okay.
So we're going to do a little mini tour on the 6th, and we'll put this into the message area here too before we go off. But April 6th, Grand Rapids, April 11th, the Bunker Live. We have 8 people that we've got open spaces for now for coming to that show. June 15th, we'll be at the Scottish Festival in the Highland Games. This is huge. This is out in DuPage Fairgrounds. Yep. DuPage County Fairgrounds. That's on June 15th. It's Saturday.
Can I tell you something about being Scottish?
You are Scottish.
Well, you know, I'm really Irish, but
you thought he knew about preamps.
McCowans originated in Scotland.
Did they?
And sometime,
are you royalty
in the
or
Dark
something?
Ages? Well, not on the McCowan side. But my family is the McCowans and Logans got together.
The Logans. Okay.
The Logans are royalty.
Are they really?
Mary Queen of Scots.
You're related to the Mary Queen of Scots.
Yes, I'm about ready to have my head chopped off by a cousin.
So wait a minute. I think the question should be,
what color
do
kilt?
Do you have a kilt that you're going to be wearing during the show? I think you guys would like to see this, right? Like I'm thinking
nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
But yeah, it'll be fun. So that's
okay,
great.
Continue on.
Yeah. So so we're going to be playing a few Scottish tunes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have Dave Mack, who many of you might know.
He played on our 4th album.
He played on our 4th album, but he also has this Zydeco Voodoo band as well. But he's going to be playing with us, and that's June 15th. August 16th, we're taking a tour to Michigan. And then in September, we're taking a tour to North Carolina. So if any of you would like to join us, just let me know. But yeah, so that's what's shaking out right now.
Yeah, there'll be a lot more. But
so follow us on shadowfields.com. We're going to be posting all those dates up there and the actual locations. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're also going to have these dates out on TikTok as well. So please follow us and stay connected. So yeah. So Kimmy wants to come. She wants to come with us.
All right. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have a great time.
But this has been fun to have you out tonight. Thanks so much. You want to close us out? Like you always
Monday in the studio. All right.
Yes.
So we could say this is Tom and Heather from Shadowfields, and this has been Monday in the studio.
Monday in the studio. And please do like us, subscribe to our channel, click that notification bell so you can stay connected with us wherever we go live. And please come out to see us next week, Monday. where we'll be talking about compressors and everything else we got going on in the studio.
Maybe I have to get a whiteboard and I'll wear
I think so.
a smock or something like that. And
I think so. You know, here's the waveform and here's where it goes. And
yeah,
we might even have some markers.
We could get down to no people watching it if we really work hard.
I think
we
you
could
did a
have
really
nobody...
good job of kind of getting it to a nice level. And I brought you back when I was like, I mean, there were a couple times
when you start falling asleep.
Well, I do this like thing where I'm like, to him, but you didn't see it, did you? Anyway, hope you guys all have a great night. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Monday in the studio. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night, guys.